A black student walks into a luxurious restaurant in his school uniform. But before he can sit down, a female waitress approaches him with a scrutinizing look. Her voice drips with disdain as she says, "Kid, are you sure you have enough money to eat here?" Her cold words are loud enough for nearby guests to overhear, drawing skeptical glances filled with doubt as they eye the boy. What happens next leaves everyone in the restaurant speechless and reveals a truth that changes everything. Lumiere Restaurant is a symbol of luxury and sophistication. It's not just a place to enjoy fine dining. It's a hot spot for the elite, where businessmen, movie stars, and the wealthy gather. Inside, the warm glow from massive crystal chandeliers casts a luxurious halo over the space. The velvet-upholstered chairs, pristine white tablecloths, and polished silver cutlery reflect the shimmering light from flickering candles. Every little detail in the restaurant is meticulously arranged, creating a perfect atmosphere for the wealthy to feel like they truly belong. The staff moves gracefully and professionally, wearing custom-designed uniforms, their hair neatly styled, and their bright but somewhat fake smiles in place. They're trained to treat customers like royalty, but their cold, assessing gazes reveal who belongs and who doesn't. The restaurant's glass door slowly opens, and a gust of cold air sweeps into the warm space. Among the guests in expensive suits and luxurious silk dresses, a boy walks in, small and out of place, like a blot of ink on a blank sheet of paper. Nathan, 14 years old, with a slender frame, intelligent eyes, and a strangely calm expression on his face, doesn't look like a regular at Lumiere. He is still wearing his school uniform after class and a pair of old, worn-out sneakers with some dried mud stains. He lacks the air of someone who could easily spend hundreds of dollars on a meal here. He pauses for a moment at the entrance, takes a deep breath, and walks toward the reception desk where a female waitress stands waiting. No one in the restaurant pays attention to him except Ashley Miller, one of Lumiere's longtime staff members. She watches the boy with a scrutinizing gaze, her lips curling into a slight smirk as if she has just seen something out of place. Ashley has a habit. She categorizes customers the moment they walk in. With a quick glance, she can tell who has money, who shouldn't be here, who deserves excellent service, and who is just wasting her time. By her unspoken standards, this boy is completely out of place. Ashley squints her eyes, scanning for Nathan's slightly curly hair down to his scuffed sneakers. A thought quickly crosses her mind. A lost kid, some country bumpkin wandered in here out of curiosity, or maybe a homeless boy looking for food. No matter the answer, it is clear that this boy does not belong here. Nathan takes a few more steps, approaching the reception desk where Ashley Miller stands, arms crossed over her chest, her gaze openly scrutinizing. The click of her high heels echoes softly on the polished marble floor, an unconscious habit whenever she has to greet guests she deems unworthy of entering the doors of Lumiere. The boy moves calmly, yet each of his steps seems like a dark ink stain creeping into the perfect picture Ashley always takes pride in about this place. Her sharp eyes quickly scan his oversized gray hoodie, the slight fraying at the cuffs, the faded unbranded jeans, and the well-worn sneakers. These signs speak volumes without needing to ask anything further. Ashley reaches her own conclusion. A penniless kid is walking into a place meant for the elite. She gives a slight smirk, a sarcastic smile appearing on her face that usually remains professional in front of wealthy clients. She has an unwritten rule, a belief ingrained in her mind. People who don't look wealthy don't deserve to be treated decently. And this boy, in her eyes, doesn't even seem like a real customer. Nathan slowly stops in front of the desk, his face calm, but his eyes clear. He doesn't seem to notice the blatant disdain on the receptionist's face. Politely, he speaks in a soft voice. "Hello, I'd like to make a reservation." Ashley immediately sneers, her laugh small, but enough to show her attitude. She tilts her head, resting her hand lightly on the desk, her voice dragging mockingly. "Kid, you sure you've got enough money to eat here?" The question doesn't mask its contempt. This isn't a fast food joint, nor a place where you could order a burger and leave with a small bill. Lumiere is one of the most luxurious restaurants in Beverly Hills, where a meal could cost as much as a month's salary for an ordinary worker. A meal here could easily run into the thousands, and only the upper class treat that is normal. Ashley is certain this boy doesn't belong in that world. However, contrary to her expectations, Nathan doesn't appear upset or embarrassed. He doesn't blush from a mockery, nor does he bow his head in shame, and he certainly doesn't walk away as some people often do when rejected. Instead, he simply nods gently, his voice steady. Yes, I'd like to dine here tonight. Ashley narrows her eyes. Was the kid joking with her? Or did he genuinely not understand what was happening? Anyway, she wasn't about to serve a customer she deemed unworthy. She turns away, not even bothering to check the reservation list, her tone indifferent yet laden with insinuation. We only accept guests with reservations, and looking at you, I'm sure you don't have one. Nathan's expression doesn't change. He knows exactly what she is doing, and he also knows he has every right to step into this restaurant. But instead of arguing, he calmly replies, "Could you double-check, please?" Ashley bites her lip, trying to hide a hint of frustration as she sees the boy remain unfazed by her attitude. She turns, pretending to tap lightly on the keyboard of the computer screen as if checking the reservation list. Every movement is deliberate, slowed down, as though she were genuinely trying to find something she knows doesn't exist. A few seconds later, she sighs theatrically, shaking her head in mock regret. "Oh, sorry, no reservation under your name." Her smile is challenging, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction, thinking she has finally pushed the boy to a dead end. She wants to see him flustered, to see him lose his confidence, to make him understand he doesn't belong here. But what she doesn't expect is Nathan's reaction. The boy doesn't seem surprised or disappointed. He simply looks at her with calm eyes, as though her words don't affect him in the slightest. Nathan gently tilts his head, his lips slightly pursed as if thinking about something, and then exhales softly. "Oh, must be a mix-up." Ashley frowns. This isn't the response she had anticipated. No disappointment, no confusion, no sign that the boy is about to leave. A sense of discomfort creeps in her, but she maintains her indifferent smile. "Too bad, but Lumiere is very busy tonight. If you don't have a reservation, you might want to try somewhere more suitable for you." Her final words are a disguised dismissal, a way of telling the boy he doesn't belong here. But once again, Nathan doesn't leave. He looks at her, his dark eyes calm but deep, and says flatly, "So if I want to make a reservation now, can I?" Ashley frowns, genuinely annoyed. This kid isn't as easy to push away as she thought. No awkwardness, no fear. His attitude makes her feel like she's the one being challenged, not him. Ashley tightens her fingers slightly, but still keeps her fake smile. "Sorry, but we don't accept walk-in reservations. It's the policy." Nathan nods slightly, as if he had anticipated her response. He glances at an empty table nearby, and then looks back at her. "What about those empty tables? Who reserved them?" Ashley freezes for a moment. This boy really knows how to ask the right questions. Ashley stands still for a moment, her eyes still fixed on the boy in front of her, as if weighing something in her mind. The true guests of Lumiere are always the ones she wishes to serve. Though she can greet with her most radiant smile, courteous to perfection, this boy does not belong here. He does not deserve her enthusiasm, which is reserved only for customers of a certain caliber. She glances at a row of empty tables in the middle of the restaurant where the crystal chandelier casts a dazzling light reflecting off the polished silverware. These prime spots are not for someone who looks like they have just stepped out of a shabby working-class neighborhood. Although there are no rules mandating a dress code, Ashley has always set an invisible boundary. Those who don't exude wealth shouldn't be in the center of Lumiere. With a false smile, she turns on her heel and walks away without a word, making it clear that Nathan has to follow her. Her steps are firm, the click of her high heels echoing rhythmically on the marble floor as she leads the boy past the rows of candlelit tables and straight to the back of the restaurant. Without a single glance back, she doesn't care whether he feels uncomfortable or not. As they move deeper into the restaurant, the lights grow dimmer, and the lively chatter of the guests is replaced by the clattering sounds of the kitchen, the clinking of pots and pans, and the brief instructions of a chef coming from behind. Ashley slows down as they reach the farthest section of the restaurant, where she usually seats guests she considers unimportant. A small table sits against the wall near the door to the kitchen, where servers often pass through with trays of steaming food. This area lacks the luxury of the main sections. No sparkling candles, no soft background music, just a dim corner lit by yellowish lights with the hum of a dishwasher running in the distance. She stops, placing the menu down sharply on the table, letting it make a deliberate thud. A smile with hidden meaning appears on her face as she looks at Nathan with amusement, as if she has just completed a little game whose rules only she knows. "You'll feel more comfortable here," she says sweetly in a tone that is all too fake. Nathan glances briefly at the table before looking back at Ashley. There is no sign of displeasure, no indication that he feels insulted by her treatment. He simply nods slightly, his voice gentle. "Thank you." Ashley narrows her eyes slightly, a flicker of disappointment crossing her face. She had expected a different reaction, perhaps confusion, a bit of discomfort, maybe even some resistance, but this boy simply accepted it. The way he acts, so calm, makes it impossible to tell what he is thinking. That irks her more than any complaint from a customer. Not far from them, a middle-aged couple is enjoying their dinner in the cozy glow of the soft yellow lights. The woman gently sets her glass of wine down, her eyes briefly scanning Ashley and Nathan. "Did you see that?" she whispers, leaning toward the man across from her. "What did she just do to that boy?" The man, a gentleman with neatly groomed gray hair, looks up to observe. He had noticed the moment Nathan walked in, seeing the clear disdain on Ashley's face from the very first seconds. Something is wrong. At another table near the window, Henry Thompson, an older man in a well-tailored suit with a composed demeanor, has also witnessed the entire exchange. He has been a regular at Lumiere for many years and is no stranger to Ashley's behavior. Henry isn't one to interfere in other people's business, but what he has just witnessed makes it impossible for him to remain indifferent. He hasn't only seen how Ashley treated the boy. He has also noticed the smug look on her face as she turned away, a look of arrogance, as though she had won a game that only she was playing. He takes a sip of his wine, but his eyes remain on Nathan, who still sits quietly, not complaining, showing no sign of anger, just slowly opening the menu and beginning to scan the offerings. That child is no ordinary one, Henry thinks to himself. The boy doesn't seem like someone trying to break into a strange world. Instead, he acts as if he has every right to be here, even though he has been placed in the worst seat in the restaurant. Henry looks around, waiting to see if anyone would speak out against the injustice taking place. But as always, no one wants to intervene. He sighs softly, shaking his head slowly. Perhaps this time, I'll be the one to speak up. The dim light from the restaurant's secluded corner casts over the small table where Nathan sits calmly, slowly flipping through the menu with an almost baffling slowness. The sound of cooking from the kitchen blends with the chatter from the more luxurious section, where wealthy guests are enjoying their dinner in the perfect atmosphere of Lumiere. Nathan doesn't care about the position he has been assigned, nor does he mind the disdainful glances Ashley gives him whenever she passes by his table. After deliberately dragging out the time to serve the more deserving customers, Ashley finally returns to Nathan's table with her order pad in hand. She doesn't try to hide the contempt on her face. From her experience, guests seated in the corners usually order only a glass of water or, at most, the cheapest dish to avoid being stared at, and this boy surely wouldn't be an exception. "So, have you decided on your order?" Ashley's voice rings out, drawn out with a hint of boredom, as if she is wasting her time on a pointless task. Nathan folds the menu, looks up, and points to a dish on the first page. His response causes Ashley's smile to stiffen. "I'll have the filet de Rossini, thank you." Ashley blinks for a moment, thinking she has misheard him. Filet de Rossini, one of the most expensive dishes on the menu, priced at $350 per serving. A piece of top-tier beef paired with rich Vaigra, an expensive black truffle sauce, served in the most refined style. This is the kind of dish wealthy businessmen usually order, not some scruffy kid placed in the corner of the restaurant. She raises an eyebrow, the corners of her mouth curling into a smile that is both mocking and somewhat pleased. "Do you know this dish costs $350? Nathan remains calm, his eyes sparkling faintly under the soft golden light. He isn't surprised, embarrassed, or awkward as Ashley had hoped. Yes, sounds delicious. Ashley is momentarily stunned. His unnervingly calm demeanor makes her feel as though she is the one being tested. He doesn't seem like a poor kid trying to act rich, but neither does he seem like a wealthy person playing a game of anonymity. He is too hard to read, and that irritates her. But if he thinks that ordering an expensive dish will make her respect him, he is sorely mistaken. Ashley slowly leans down a little, as if to lower her voice and create an air of mystery. But in reality, she wants to emphasize each word. Then don't forget the tip. At least 20%, all right? She looks straight into Nathan's eyes, hoping to see him start to worry. She wants to witness a moment of panic, an awkward expression when he realizes that not only is the dish expensive, but the bill that comes with it is something he hadn't anticipated. But Nathan doesn't react the way she expects. He simply nods softly, as though her words have nothing to do with him. All right. Ashley bites her lip, a growing discomfort settling in. Since when could a kid make her feel this irritated? She begins to feel something is off. Who is this kid? Why isn't he flustered by anything she throws at him? If he truly had no money, he would have been flustered the moment she mentioned the price. But if he were rich, why was he dressed like that? Ashley takes a deep breath, not wanting to lose in this game. If the boy thinks he can come here and act like a VIP customer, she will make this experience as uncomfortable as possible for him. She decisively clicks her pen, writing the order into the pad with more force than necessary, and slams it shut with a snap. Very well, you seem confident. Now just sit here and wait. With that, she turns and walks away without asking anything else, leaving Nathan alone in the dark corner of the restaurant. But from afar, a sharp pair of eyes is watching the whole scene. Henry Thompson, a longtime regular, gently sets his glass of wine down. His expression is somber, but his eyes are thoughtful. He can't hear the entire conversation, but Ashley's expression says it all. The mockery, the disdain, and now the subtle anger as she walks away. Something isn't right. Henry leans back in his chair, tapping his fingers lightly on the table, his gaze never leaving the boy sitting alone. Nathan isn't flustered or worried, not like someone who has just been publicly humiliated. He remains calm, his eyes forward, quietly like someone who has long been accustomed to this kind of injustice. This boy is no ordinary person. Henry takes a slow breath, lifts his glass, and mutters to himself, "Let's see how far this goes." Ashley walks out of the kitchen, carrying a tray full of glasses of wine. Her eyes quickly glance over to the corner where Nathan is sitting. She purses her lips slightly, then casually turns and walks in the opposite direction, heading straight towards the VIP tables in the center of the restaurant. Instead of immediately taking Nathan's order to the kitchen, Ashley decides to delay it intentionally. She stops at the table of a middle-aged businessman, smiling brightly as if he were the only customer at Lumiere. She leans forward, her voice softer than usual. "Mr. Johnson, I hope your dinner is still going perfectly." The man smiles and nods in satisfaction. Ashley knows how to win over people like him. She chuckles, exchanges a few words, and quickly leaves, but still makes no move to head back to the kitchen with Nathan's order. She isn't in a hurry. That boy doesn't deserve to be served like a real customer. If he is foolish enough to sit there and wait, then let him wait. Ashley continues to circle the restaurant, her high heels clicking rhythmically on the marble floor. She intentionally passes by Nathan's table several times, but never stops, never looks down at him. Nathan remains sitting there, motionless as a statue, observing everything around him, but showing no signs of frustration or impatience. He doesn't tap his fingers on the table, doesn't roll his eyes like someone who is restless. His calmness bothers Ashley even more than anger would have. Meanwhile, some customers in the restaurant start to notice. The middle-aged couple seated nearby has witnessed the entire situation since Nathan first walked in. The woman frowns, turning to her husband. "Did you see that? The boy has been waiting for a while, but she keeps ignoring him like he doesn't even exist." The man, who had been focused on his meal, now begins to notice something is off. "Ashley is always like that," he says, his voice tinged with dissatisfaction. She only serves those she thinks are worthy. It isn't just them. Many other customers begin to pay attention. Some exchange confused glances while others discreetly observe Nathan. However, no one speaks up. Lumiere isn't the type of place where people like to intervene in others' business, even though they know what has happened. Most choose to remain silent. But there is one person who doesn't stay quiet. Henry Thompson sets his glass of wine down on the table and takes a slow breath. He isn't the type to get involved in other people's business, but today something urges him to act. He looks at Nathan. The boy doesn't seem embarrassed, doesn't seem angry, doesn't show the slightest dissatisfaction. He just sits there, calm, as if nothing happening around him affects him. But that is exactly what bothers Henry the most. No child should ever be so familiar with injustice like this. Henry stands up, gently adjusts his suit, and slowly walks toward Nathan's table. No one in the restaurant stops him. Some people glance at him curiously, wondering what he is going to do, but Henry doesn't care. He approaches Nathan's table, smiling warmly with no hint of insincerity or pity. "You're very calm," he says in a deep, warm voice. "Not everyone can be as patient as you." Nathan looks up at the older man before him with neither surprise nor caution. He nods slightly, his eyes lighting up with respect. "Thank you, sir." Henry studies Nathan for a moment, then raises an eyebrow as if pondering something. This boy is different. He can see an uncommon tranquility in Nathan, a type of patience not because he doesn't realize he is being treated unfairly, but because he has become accustomed to it. Henry doesn't like that. A child shouldn't be accustomed to being looked down upon. He sits down in the chair across from Nathan, a move that makes those around them stare in surprise. Ashley, who has just stepped out of the kitchen, pauses. Her smile vanishes instantly, and her eyes flash with irritation when she sees Henry Thompson, one of Lumiere's longest-standing customers, sitting at the same table as that boy. For a moment, Henry and Ashley's gazes meet. She knows he has seen everything. Henry takes a sip of water, not breaking eye contact with Ashley, and smiles. A smile that isn't exactly friendly, but carries an implicit reminder that this game is about to change. Henry Thompson remains seated across from Nathan, his sharp eyes never leaving the boy's face. There is something special about him, an unbelievable calmness, as if he has grown accustomed to situations like this. This makes Henry feel both curious and uneasy. Nathan isn't the type to be clueless. He knows exactly what is happening. He knows that Ashley has intentionally mistreated him, that he has waited longer than usual, but he doesn't show any signs of dissatisfaction. Just then, the large door of Lumiere suddenly opens, bringing a cold draft from outside into the room. The hum of conversation in the restaurant quiets for a moment as a man walks in. Stephen Carter, wearing a finely tailored black suit. The Patek Philippe watch on his wrist sparkles under the restaurant lights, and his polished Italian leather shoes reflect the light from the marble floor. The man carries himself like someone in power, every step exuding confidence and authority. Without anyone announcing him, all the restaurant staff immediately recognize him. "Mr. Carter, I didn't know you were coming tonight. It's an honor to have you here." The restaurant manager, a middle-aged man in a well-fitted uniform, practically rushes out from the kitchen to greet his boss. Ashley freezes. She feels her whole body stiffen, her hand tightening around the service tray, nearly dropping it. For a moment, she can't believe her eyes. What's he doing here tonight? Ashley takes a deep breath, trying to regain her composure. What had she done wrong? Nothing at all. She was just doing her job as usual. There was nothing to worry about, right? But when she looks back toward the corner of the restaurant where Henry Thompson is still seated across from Nathan, a chill runs down her spine. It couldn't be. She looks more closely at the boy. Suddenly, everything starts to click together. The boy isn't afraid of being mistreated. He never hesitated when talking about prices. He didn't react when placed in the worst seat in the restaurant. And now Stephen Carter, the owner, appears unexpectedly. A terrifying truth slowly forms in Ashley's mind. The boy isn't just any customer. He is Stephen Carter's son. Ashley swallows hard, her mind starting to panic. If the boy is really the boss's son, then she has just made the worst mistake of her career. She wants to rush over to explain, to say she hadn't meant it, but she can't. Her feet feel frozen in place. Stephen Carter walks further into the restaurant, his sharp eyes scanning the luxurious surroundings. No one knows what he is thinking, but the atmosphere in Lumiere has changed. He sees Henry Thompson first, and, just for a moment, his gaze stops on the boy sitting across from the elderly man. Nathan, just one word, not loud, not harsh, but enough for some nearby patrons to glance toward the corner of the restaurant. Henry slowly stands up, a half-smile appearing on his face. He isn't surprised. "Good evening, Stephen. Looks like tonight will be quite interesting." Stephen doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he walks straight toward Nathan's table. The restaurant suddenly falls silent. Ashley feels her heart pounding in her chest. She knows this is the decisive moment. Nathan slowly stands up, his eyes meeting the tall man before him. He doesn't seem surprised, nor does he appear worried. He simply smiles lightly. "Hello, Dad." A ripple of shock spreads throughout the restaurant. Nearby guests can't hide the curiosity on their faces. Stephen stares at his son for a long moment before turning to Henry. "I think you've had an interesting conversation with my boy." Henry chuckles softly. "Your son is very special." Stephen doesn't look at Ashley right away. He scans the table, noticing the poor position Nathan has been assigned, the way he looks from other staff members, and then his gaze finally rests on Ashley's pale face. Ashley feels everything crumble around her. "Do you have something to say to my son?" Stephen's question is like a knife straight to Ashley's heart. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. Everything she has done to Nathan, the contempt, the mocking, the delay in service, has been exposed right before the restaurant owner's eyes. There's no way out. Nathan remains silent, but he doesn't need to say a word. His father will handle everything, and Ashley knows that tonight will not end the way she had hoped. Ashley stands frozen in place, feeling as though her legs could no longer lift. She can feel the cold running down her spine, every second that passes adding to the suffocating tension. Stephen Carter looks at her, his gaze sharp, piercing straight into her soul. "Do you have anything to say to my son?" His voice is neither loud nor angry, but the weight of each word forces everyone in the restaurant to stop what they are doing. Ashley takes a shaky breath, her lips pressing tightly together. She wants to say something to make excuses, but no words can change the truth. She has misjudged him. She has believed Nathan was just an unworthy boy, someone who didn't belong in the world of Lumiere. But it turned out this boy had more power than any other guest in the restaurant tonight. Ashley stands frozen in place, feeling as though her legs could no longer lift. She can feel the cold running down her spine, every second that passes adding to the suffocating tension. Stephen Carter looks at her, his gaze sharp, piercing straight into her soul. "Do you have anything to say to my son?" His voice is neither loud nor angry, but the weight of each word forces everyone in the restaurant to stop what they are doing. Ashley takes a shaky breath, her lips pressing tightly together. She wants to say something to make excuses, but no words can change the truth. She has misjudged him. She has believed Nathan was just an unworthy boy, someone who didn't belong in the world of Lumiere. But it turned out this boy had more power than any other guest in the restaurant tonight. Ashley stands frozen in place, feeling as though her legs could no longer lift. She can feel the cold running down her spine, every second that passes adding to the suffocating tension. Stephen Carter looks at her, his gaze sharp, piercing straight into her soul. "Do you have anything to say to my son?" His voice is neither loud nor angry, but the weight of each word forces everyone in the restaurant to stop what they are doing. Ashley takes a shaky breath, her lips pressing tightly together. She wants to say something to make excuses, but no words can change the truth. She has misjudged him. She has believed Nathan was just an unworthy boy, someone who didn't belong in the world of Lumiere. But it turned out this boy had more power than any other guest in the restaurant tonight. The initial encounter. As Nathan stands there, the atmosphere surrounding him shifts. He takes a deep breath, trying to calm the nerves that threaten to surface. The restaurant buzzes with the chatter of well-dressed patrons, completely oblivious to his presence. In this moment of uncertainty, Nathan decides to take control. He steps forward, his heart pounding, determination etched on his face. Ashley Miller, the waitress, stands poised at the reception desk, her eyes scanning the room. She spots Nathan and her expression hardens. He doesn't fit the mold of a typical customer here. With a slight sneer, she approaches him, her voice dripping with condescension. "Can I help you, kid?" Her tone suggests that she already knows the answer. Nathan stands tall, his posture confident despite the judgment in Ashley's eyes. "I'd like to make a reservation," he replies, his voice steady. The moment he speaks, Ashley's smirk widens, as if she is savoring the chance to belittle him further. "Reservation? Are you sure you have enough money to eat here?" She mocks, her laugh echoing through the restaurant. The nearby guests turn their heads, eyes narrowing with suspicion, making Nathan feel like an outsider. But instead of shrinking away, he holds his ground. He knows he belongs in this space, even if the staff doesn't recognize it. "Could you check the reservation list, please?" he requests, maintaining his composure. Ashley's expression shifts from amusement to annoyance as she pretends to type on her computer, dragging the process out to emphasize her disdain. "Sorry, no reservation under your name," she finally declares, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Nathan's calm demeanor frustrates her. He doesn't respond with embarrassment or anger. Instead, he nods, as if accepting the challenge. "Oh, it must be a mix-up," he replies, his tone unfazed. This isn't the reaction Ashley expected. "If I wanted to make a reservation now, could I?" he asks, his confidence unwavering. "Sorry, but we don't accept walk-in reservations." "It's policy," she shoots back, the irritation evident in her tone. Nathan glances around, taking in the empty tables scattered throughout the restaurant. "What about those empty tables? Who reserved them?" Ashley freezes for a moment, caught off guard by his question. She hasn't anticipated him to challenge her authority. This boy isn't backing down, and it unsettles her. She quickly regains her composure, though. "Those tables are reserved for guests of a certain caliber," she states, her voice laced with superiority. As they stand there, a silent battle of wills unfolds. Nathan remains composed, searching for a way to assert his place in this world. "So, is there any way I can sit there?" he asks, pointing to the empty tables. Ashley's frustration boils beneath the surface. She glances at the bustling dining area, filled with the laughter and chatter of affluent guests. "You really think you belong here?" she scoffs, crossing her arms. But Nathan meets her gaze with unwavering determination. "I do belong here, and I would like to be treated with respect," he says firmly. His words hang in the air, challenging Ashley's assumptions. At that moment, the tension in the restaurant thickens. Guests begin to notice the escalating exchange. Some whisper to one another, their eyes darting between Nathan and Ashley. The atmosphere shifts as people realize the unfairness of the situation. Just then, Henry Thompson, a regular at Lumiere, takes it all in. He observes Nathan's steady demeanor and Ashley's growing discomfort. He senses the injustice unfolding before him and feels compelled to act. As Ashley turns away, dismissing Nathan, Henry stands up, his resolve strengthening. He approaches Nathan's table, wanting to offer support. "You handled that well, young man," he says with a warm smile, placing a reassuring hand on Nathan's shoulder. Nathan looks up, grateful for the unexpected kindness. "Thank you, sir," he replies, feeling a sense of validation. In that moment, the restaurant's atmosphere begins to shift. The other patrons, witnessing this small act of solidarity, start to murmur among themselves. Ashley, now aware of the growing attention, feels the weight of her actions pressing down on her. The arrogance she once wore like armor begins to crack. She reluctantly returns to Nathan's table, her demeanor faltering. "I'm sorry," she mutters, though the sincerity is lacking. Nathan meets her gaze, his expression calm yet firm. "I hope you'll remember this moment," he says softly. The statement resonates in the air, leaving Ashley to reflect on her behavior. In that instant, the restaurant feels different. Guests begin to shift their focus back to their meals, but the impact of Nathan's calm confidence lingers. The tension has shifted, and the balance of power has begun to change. Nathan's presence challenges the status quo, forcing others to confront their biases. As the evening continues, the atmosphere in Lumiere transforms. Nathan may have entered the restaurant as an outsider, but he leaves behind a ripple of change, igniting a conversation about respect and dignity that will echo long after he is gone. The revelation of identity. As the evening unfolds, Nathan sits at his table, quietly observing the dynamics around him. The laughter and chatter of the affluent guests create an atmosphere of exclusivity, but Nathan remains undeterred. He flips through the menu, feigning interest, while internally he processes the events that have transpired. Just then, the large door of Lumiere swings open, allowing a gust of cold air to sweep in. The hum of conversation momentarily quiets as a well-dressed man strides in. Stephen Carter, the owner of the restaurant. His presence commands immediate attention. Patrons straighten in their seats, and the staff quickly shifts into a more polished demeanor. Ashley, standing near the kitchen, feels her stomach drop as she watches him enter. Her heart races, and she instinctively knows that this is a pivotal moment. What she doesn't realize is that tonight, her actions will be scrutinized, and the consequences of her behavior will soon come alight. Stephen moves through the restaurant with an air of authority, greeting guests warmly. His gaze scans the room until it lands on Nathan, who sits quietly at his table. A flicker of recognition passes over his face, and he approaches Nathan with purpose. "Nathan," he calls softly, his voice carrying a warmth that contrasts sharply with Ashley's earlier scorn. The boy looks up, meeting his father's gaze. "I've been looking for you." "Hello, Dad," Nathan replies with a smile, his demeanor shifting from the calm composure he had maintained in the face of adversity to one of comfort and belonging. The surrounding guests watch in silence, their curiosity piqued. Stephen kneels beside Nathan, his expression serious yet kind. "I see you've been having quite an evening," he says, glancing back at Ashley, who stands frozen at her station, her face pale with realization. With the attention now on her, Ashley feels the weight of her earlier actions crashing down upon her. She had underestimated Nathan, viewing him as an outsider, someone unworthy of respect. But now, with the revelation of his identity, she recognizes the gravity of her mistake. "What was your experience like here tonight?" Stephen asks Nathan gently, giving him the floor to share his thoughts. Nathan considers for a moment, gathering his words. "I tried to make a reservation, but Ashley didn't believe I belonged here," he states, his voice steady. "She judged me based on my appearance." The words hang in the air, and Ashley's heart sinks. She had thought she was simply enforcing the restaurant standards, but now it is clear that she had failed in her duty to treat all customers with dignity. Stephen's gaze sharpens as he turns to Ashley, who stands rigidly, her eyes wide with fear. "Do you have something to say to my son?" he asks, his voice calm but firm. Ashley opens her mouth, but no words come out. The truth is laid bare before everyone in the restaurant, and she feels exposed. She knows she has acted wrongly, that her bias has not only affected Nathan, but has also tarnished the reputation of Lumiere. "I'm sorry," she finally manages to say, her voice barely above a whisper. But the apology feels hollow, as if it can't undo the harm she has caused. Nathan, sensing her discomfort, looks at her with a mixture of disappointment and understanding. "You don't need to apologize to me," he says quietly, "but I hope you remember this moment." His calmness surprises Ashley. Rather than anger, he offers a gentle reminder of the importance of respect. The other guests, who have been quietly observing, begin to murmur among themselves, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern for Nathan. Stephen stands tall, his presence commanding attention once again. "Ashley," he begins, his tone steady. "This behavior cannot be tolerated. Every customer deserves respect, regardless of their appearance or background." The weight of his words settles over the restaurant. Guests nod in agreement, and Ashley realizes the extent of her misjudgment. She had thought her power lay in controlling who received respect, but she now understands that true authority comes from treating everyone with kindness. As the atmosphere shifts, Nathan feels a sense of accomplishment. He has stood his ground, and in doing so, he has prompted a necessary change. The evening is no longer just about fine dining. It has become a lesson in humility and empathy. With a final glance at Nathan, Stephen turns back to the room. Tonight has shown us that we must all reflect on our actions and the way we treat others. Let us remember that kindness is not just a choice. It is a standard we should uphold in every interaction. The guests begin to applaud softly, their appreciation evident. Nathan's heart swells with pride as he realizes he has made an impact, not just on Ashley, but on everyone present. As the evening wraps up, Nathan leaves the restaurant with his father by his side. The cool night air greets them, a stark contrast to the heated emotions that had unfolded inside. Nathan walks with a newfound sense of purpose, understanding that standing up for oneself can inspire change in others. Tonight wasn't just about a boy entering a fancy restaurant. It was about the power of respect, the importance of empathy, and the realization that change begins with one person willing to stand up against injustice. Nathan knows this lesson will stay with him long after they leave Lumiere, and he hopes it will resonate with others as well. Reflection and growth. As the days pass following that fateful evening at Lumiere, the atmosphere in the restaurant begins to shift. Nathan's calm demeanor and the powerful revelation of his identity linger in the minds of both the staff and the patrons. The incident has sparked conversations about respect and the inherent value of every individual, regardless of their appearance or background. Ashley Miller finds herself at a crossroads. The moment of humiliation she experienced after her encounter with Nathan and his father has left a profound impact on her. She can no longer rely on the arrogance that once defined her interactions with customers. Instead, she is compelled to reflect on her behavior and the biases that influenced her actions. Determined to change, Ashley begins to approach her work differently. Each day, she makes a conscious effort to treat all customers with the same level of respect and kindness, regardless of how they dress or present themselves. She smiles genuinely at every guest, offering assistance with warmth rather than judgment. One evening, a middle-aged man walks into the restaurant wearing an old shirt and worn-out shoes. In the past, Ashley might have dismissed him or assigned him to a less desirable table. But now, she greets him with a bright smile. "Good evening, sir. Would you like to choose a table? Or can I suggest a nice spot for you?" The man looks surprised, his expression softening as he realizes he is being treated with dignity. As the weeks go by, Ashley continues to build on her commitment to change. She engages with customers, asking about their experiences and making genuine connections. Her colleagues begin to notice the transformation. Some are skeptical, unsure if this new attitude is just a facade, while others are inspired by her efforts. One day, Linda, a longtime colleague, approaches Ashley during a quiet moment. "Have you really changed?" she asks, her tone inquisitive rather than accusatory. Ashley meets her gaze, determination shining in her eyes. "I'm not just doing this to keep my job. I realized what's most important. Treating people with respect," she replies, feeling the weight of her past mistakes, but also the hope of redemption. As Ashley immerses herself in this new mindset, she finds fulfillment in her work. The interactions she shares with customers become more meaningful, and she begins to see the world through a different lens. She understands that every person who walks through the doors of Lumiere has their own story, their own struggles, and their own work. Meanwhile, Nathan continues to visit the restaurant with his father, Stephen. Each time they arrive, Ashley greets them with a genuine smile, her previous hesitations and biases replaced by a sincere desire to provide exceptional service. Nathan notices the change in her demeanor and feels a sense of satisfaction. He recognizes that his quiet stand against injustice has had a ripple effect. One evening, as Nathan and Stephen sit down for dinner, Ashley approaches their table with the menu. "Good evening, Nathan. I've prepared some special recommendations for you tonight," she says, her voice warm and inviting. The respect she now shows is evident, and Nathan feels at ease. "Thank you, Ashley," he replies, appreciating the genuine interaction. It feels good to be recognized and valued. He knows that the restaurant he once felt alienated in has begun to transform, becoming a place where everyone can feel welcome. As the night progresses, Nathan reflects on the changes he has witnessed in both Ashley and the restaurant. He understands that true growth often stems from discomfort and confrontation. The experience at Lumiere has taught him about the importance of standing up for himself and others, but has also highlighted the power of kindness and understanding in fostering change. In the weeks that follow, Ashley continues to challenge herself. She actively seeks feedback from customers and colleagues, eager to learn and grow. The journey is not easy, but she is committed to becoming the best version of herself. She attends workshops on customer service and inclusivity, determined to ensure that Lumiere embodies the values she now holds dear. One evening, as Ashley finishes her shift, she takes a moment to reflect on her journey. She realizes that this transformation is not just about her job. It's about her character and the way she interacts with the world. She feels a deep sense of gratitude for Nathan and the lesson he unknowingly taught her. As she prepares for another busy night at Lumiere, Ashley knows that change takes time and effort. But she is no longer afraid of the work ahead. Instead, she embraces it, confident that she can contribute to a culture of respect and kindness, not just within the walls of the restaurant, but in all aspects of her life. Nathan's presence in Lumiere serves as a reminder that every interaction matters and that true respect is a standard we should all strive to uphold. As he walks alongside his father, he feels proud of the changes that have begun to take root, not only in Ashley, but in the restaurant as a whole. It's a small victory, but one that holds the promise of a brighter future for everyone who steps through the doors of Lumiere. Lessons learned and new beginnings. As time progresses, Nathan finds himself reflecting on the changes that have taken place at Lumiere. The restaurant, once a place of judgment and disdain, has transformed into a welcoming space where everyone is treated with respect. He feels a sense of pride knowing that his actions, though small, have contributed to this shift in culture. One evening, Nathan and his father, Stephen, arrive at Lumiere for dinner. As they walk through the entrance, Nathan notices the difference in the atmosphere. The staff greet them with genuine smiles, and the air buzzes with a sense of warmth and camaraderie. It's a stark contrast to his first experience, and he can't help but feel a sense of belonging. As they sit down at their table, Ashley approaches them, her demeanor friendly and open. "Good evening, Nathan. I hope you're ready for a wonderful meal tonight," she says, her tone sincere. Nathan smiles back at her, appreciating her efforts to create a positive experience. "Thank you, Ashley. I'm looking forward to it," he replies, feeling at ease. He can see that Ashley has made a genuine effort to change, and it brings him joy to witness her growth. Throughout the dinner, Nathan engages in conversation with his father about the importance of empathy and kindness. "Dad, I've realized that it's not just about how we treat others, but also how we see ourselves," he shares. "When we respect ourselves, it's easier to respect others." Stephen nods, proud of his son's insights. "You're right, Nathan. Respect starts from within. It's about understanding our own value and extending that understanding to others." Their discussion flows easily, filled with reflections on the lessons learned from the recent events. Meanwhile, Ashley watches from a distance, her heart swelling with gratitude. She feels fortunate to be part of this transformation, not just for herself, but for every customer who walks through the doors. Each interaction is an opportunity to make a difference, and she takes that responsibility seriously. As the evening progresses, Nathan notices other guests in the restaurant, each one treated with the same level of respect he now enjoys. A young couple sits nearby, laughing and sharing stories, while a family with young children is warmly welcomed by the staff. The diversity of patrons adds to the vibrant atmosphere, reinforcing the idea that Lumiere is a place where everyone belongs. After their meal, Nathan and Stephen decide to speak with Ashley before leaving. "We just want to say thank you for the wonderful service," Stephen begins, his voice warm. "It's clear that you've made a positive change here, and it means a lot to us." Ashley beams at their compliment, feeling a rush of appreciation. "Thank you for your kind words. It's been a journey for me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to grow and learn from my mistakes," she responds, her sincerity evident. As they finish their conversation, Nathan feels a sense of closure. He has witnessed not only his own growth, but also Ashley's transformation. It reinforces his belief that change is possible when we are willing to confront our biases and embrace empathy. As they step outside into the cool night air, Nathan looks up at the stars twinkling above. He feels a renewed sense of hope, knowing that small actions can lead to significant change. The experiences at Lumiere have taught him invaluable lessons about respect, kindness, and the power of standing up for what is right. Walking alongside his father, Nathan reflects on the journey they have taken together. "Do you think people can really change?" he asks, his voice filled with curiosity. Stephen smiles, glancing down at his son. "Absolutely, Nathan. Change takes time and effort, but it starts with a willingness to see things differently. It's about recognizing the humanity in each other and choosing to treat one another with respect." Nathan nods, absorbing his father's words. He understands that while he may not be able to change the world overnight, he can make a difference in his own way, one interaction at a time. As they walk away from Lumiere, Nathan feels hopeful about the future. He knows that the lessons learned from this experience will stay with him, guiding him as he navigates the complexities of life. The journey of understanding and growth continues, and he is committed to being a part of that change. In the bustling streets of Beverly Hills, Nathan carries with him the knowledge that kindness and respect matter. He is determined to be a voice for those who feel unseen, to advocate for fairness, and to stand up against injustice. The restaurant, once a symbol of division, has become a beacon of hope, illustrating that change is always possible when we choose to act with compassion. With each step, Nathan embraces the idea that everyone has the potential to grow and learn. The world is filled with opportunities for understanding, and he is ready to seize them. The story of his experience at Lumiere is just the beginning, a testament to the power of empathy, the importance of respect, and the belief that change starts with each of us.